Good morning, Year 6, it's Miss Cray, and we're going to have a look today at our Tuesday morning writing session. So our learning objective this week is going to be to write a magazine article. So before we go any further, let's quickly recap 3 quick questions. What are we writing this week? Who is our audience? And what is our purpose? I'd like you to pause the video for a moment now, and I'd like you to have a think, what are the answers to those 3 questions? Okay, well, hopefully you got the first one right. It's in the learning objective. What we are writing is a magazine article, and we're writing it for National Geographic magazine, a scientific magazine, all about a new creature that has been discovered. And the creature that we are writing about is the one that you have designed. Now, you should have designed it either yesterday or on Friday. If you're joining us now and you haven't designed it yet, please download the lesson where you get your creature designed, otherwise you're going to struggle with your writing. Our audience are readers of National Geographic magazine, so people who would be interested in learning about the new discoveries in science. And our purpose is a combination of 2. We are writing both to inform, so to share that knowledge, and to entertain our readers. So the first job to get done before we start our writing properly is to look at the layout of our magazine. So here we can see that we've got the title, we've got boxes for our label diagram, and we've also got a box for our fact file down at the bottom right. You don't need to put boxes around where you're going to do your actual writing, but it might be worth now taking a little bit of time to draw with a ruler or something else that's got a straight edge if you can use it. 2 boxes for where you'd like your creature's diagram to go, the label diagram, and another one for where you'd like your fact file to go. And if you want, you can also add one at the top so you can put the title of your magazine. Okay, so pause the video for a moment now and make sure you've got that done before we move on any further. So just to make you aware, when we're writing in class, we always have a word bank. I've done one for this week as well. I will upload this as a separate attachment onto Portfolio. So we've got some descriptions of the Arctic, and can I just nag you, it's Arctic with a C, A-R-C-T-I-C, so check your spelling of that please. So we've got some descriptions of it, we've got some descriptions that you could use for your animal. We've got the impact of its adaptation. So why does it have that adaptation? Does it provide it with the ability to do something? Does it protect it? Does it shelter it? So we've got a few things to help you with your sentence structure there. In the second box, we've got some scientific journal language, so things that we'd expect to hear in a semi-formal article. And then at the bottom, we've got our usual sentence types and a few examples of how we can use those different sentence types. So we've got rhetorical questions, we've got some dashes for emphasis, we've got a semicolon, and the example I've used there is as a semicolon, therefore. Underneath, we've got a some and others. So some were sceptical about the mission's ability to succeed, semicolon. Others showed little doubt. We've got relative clauses, and here we're using where, so the Arctic, where creatures face a daily battle to survive, is an unforgiving yet fascinating habitat. And we've got a colon sentence, so we've got 2 separate clauses separated there by a colon. So this will be on Portfolio. I would really suggest that you have it up while you're doing your writing, in case you get a little bit of creative block and need some inspiration. Okay, so normally at this point, this is when we'd have a look at our waggle together and we spend a little bit of time in class doing some shared and some modelled writing. Obviously, at the moment we can't do that. I'm not in school with you, or I'm not at home with you. I've not got the capability that Miss Alexander has to write on the screen on my laptop. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a couple of examples of paragraphs. We're going to pause the video and have a think about what our key criteria is to go in that paragraph, what's going to make it a Year 6 piece of writing, and we're going to build a success criteria together. From that success criteria, you're going to have a go at writing your own version of this paragraph. So I'm going to click onto the next slide. There are 2 example paragraphs. The first thing I'd like you to do is just have a read through and then take a minute to try and spot some of the Year 6 features that I've used that you could replicate in your writing. Okay, so pause your video now, please, Year 6. Okay, so we can have a read through it together and we'll see what you've managed to come up with. So we've got 2 examples of this introduction paragraph. The first one says, driven by a desire to continually develop our understanding of even the most hostile climates on Earth, The passionate scientists working at National Geographic are on a constant mission to uncover nature's best kept secrets, and last month their efforts came to fruition. In the barren and inhospitable Arctic, a unique animal was sighted and documented for the benefit of science for the very first time, the Phope. And then we've got our second one. Have you ever heard of a Phope? Well, do not worry if you have not, because here at the National Geographic, we hadn't either until now. Last month, up in the barren and inhospitable Arctic, a unique animal was sighted and documented for the benefit of science, the Phope. Okay, so pause your video again, and what I'd like you to do is have a read through what can you spot in either of those paragraphs that you think you could replicate in your own writing this week. Okay, so obviously we've got our non-negotiables, the things that have to be in place regardless of what we're writing. So, neat handwriting is a big one. Obviously you're not in school, I'm not there to nag you, but our presentation needs to stay at the same quality as it is during class time. So, please take care of your presentation. Please check your spelling. So once you've written your writing, once you've written your sentence or your paragraph, we need to proofread it back for spellings, and check your punctuation. And then we need to proofread for sense. So these are the things that need to be taking place, regardless of what we're writing. And then we've got some things that are slightly more specific to our introduction. So one of the things I've highlighted here is that we could start with a rhetorical question. So I've popped it in red, and in a moment I'll move on to the next slide so that you can see where that's being used in the text. We've also got colons or dashes to introduce your creature. We've got parenthesis, which is adding that extra information. And we can use either commas, dashes, or brackets to put this in. And then the key information we need to include, we need to tell our reader what's been discovered, when, and where. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, and it's the text again, but I've got everything highlighted colour coordinated so you can see where these have been used. Okay, so we've got a few things highlighted here. The first one is where we've got that orange and comma last month comma. Now this is an example of a couple of things. It's an example, one, of when the creature was discovered, so that key information we needed to include. But we've also got the extra information last month in commas. I could take that away and it would still make sense. So we've added extra information using parentheses. We've got commas for parentheses. Carrying on, we've got the blue there in the barren and inhospitable Arctic, and if you look at the second paragraph, we've also got some blue. We've got last month up in the barren and inhospitable Arctic. So there we're using that key information. When was it discovered and where was it discovered? Continuing on with the first paragraph, we've got in green, it says documented for the very first time, colon, the Phope. And this is us using our colon, you could use a dash here if you wanted to introduce the creature. And again, at the end of the second paragraph, we've done the same thing. You could use your colon or your dash interchangeably here, it wouldn't matter. So, those are going to be the things that we need to make sure we have included in our writing this week. What I suggest you do, Year 6, is you leave these two up on your screen so that you've got examples, you've got your waggles of what we're looking for. Get your word banks out in front of you as well, or have them open on another tab on your screen so you can flick back and forth for that vocab. And have a go now at writing your introduction to introduce your reader to the idea that a brand new, incredibly well adapted creature has been discovered. As per usual, your home learners this week are Mr. Pugh and Miss Alexander. So once you've got that first paragraph written, please take a picture and send it through to one of them. And I will also check in the evenings as well just to see how we're doing. And I look forward to seeing what you come up with, Year 6. Thank you.